One of the things that makes calisthenics so interesting is that we have so many different ways that we can build muscle, grow stronger, learn skills, and generally develop ourselves. Compared to traditional weight training, where we typically progress by adding weight in a relatively linear fashion, the methodologies for developing with calisthenics are limited only by our imagination. Sometimes though, this abundance of options can be overwhelming, and so adding weight to our calisthenics lifts can feel like the simpler choice. But today we're going to be going through 5 things that we should do before we think about adding weight to our calisthenics lifts. Let's get into it. How you doing, Cali Crowd? Welcome back to the channel that makes calisthenics simple. Before we dive into today's topic, you might be wondering, are we overcomplicating this? Is it not simpler just to add weights to our calisthenics lifts and be done with it? Well, yes, and if you're adding weight to your calisthenics lifts and that's working for you and your goals, then that is great, more power to you. But if your goal is to get strong at bodyweight exercises, break through plateaus, and especially if your goals include anything to do with calisthenic skills, then what we go through today is a must that you should explore before adding weight to your calisthenics lifts. So let's jump into the first method of progressing at calisthenics, and instead of adding weight, add reps. Adding reps and getting to the point where we can work at higher volumes, so the 12 to 15 rep range, should be the first comprehensive goal for any calisthenics athlete with lofty ambitions. The funny thing about calisthenics though is that you may find that you can lift crazy weight in the 3 to 5 rep range, but can barely hit 10 reps of the same exercise with just your body weight, and so you may need to regress the exercise to hit those higher volumes. By adding weight but not being able to get to higher rep ranges, you may be bottlenecking your strength gains down the line and actually could be presenting yourself with a false sense of progress. More to the point is that working in the higher rep range is great for building muscle and creating resilience in our connective tissue, which can take a battering working in isometrics or at lower rep ranges. Another way we can advance our calisthenics training is through changing the levers. Using our body to defy gravity is what calisthenics is famous for, but unfortunately, the rules of gravity still apply to us. By adjusting levers in our training, we can take simple exercises and make them difficult very quickly. For example, pull-ups in an L-sit shifts the legs well past the center of mass in a way that makes it extremely taxing to get over the bar, but has many benefits for learning to perform high pull-ups or even muscle-ups. Similarly, getting from a tucked position to an extended position in an exercise like the back lever brings us closer to performing the full back lever, even if we may need something like a band in order to perform this. Of all the methods that we go through today, changing the lever is the one that applies most to calisthenic skills as we look to get closer to the thing we're trying to achieve when it comes to bodyweight skills. Building on the last two, we can progress by increasing the range of motion. Strength is gained through the range trained. So by moving to weighted calisthenics while we're still working in partial ranges of motion, we are limiting the overall strength we can gain compared to going through a full range of motion in the truest sense of the phrase. This goes one bit further though, in that we can actually increase our base flexibility to become better at exercising. For example, working on our ability to pike, stretch and touch our toes has direct and lasting benefits in our ability to perform hanging leg raises. If we were to just slap on ankle weights and perform hanging leg raises with a very limited range of motion, we may find that we're just wasting our time. Performing 1 1/4 reps is another way that we can boost our calisthenics gains without slapping on a weight vest. This is very different to the increasing reps that we spoke about earlier, and is in fact doing an extra portion of a rep for every single rep that we complete. Let me explain. As an example, in a 1 1/4 pull-up, we perform a mini rep at the bottom of the pull-up first before doing the full pull-up. We can also include pause reps into this category, where we spend time in each rep in a mini isometric. 1 1/4 and pause reps can be a real help when dealing with sticking points in our calisthenics exercises. In fact, whenever I struggle with plateaus, this is my first port of call. Given the compound nature of most bodyweight exercises, it can be difficult to hone in on particular areas of weakness in a movement. 1 1/4 and pause reps actually tailor to this very problem, and yet in calisthenics they are both a very underutilized and underrated methodology of training. Before we shift over to weighted calisthenics, we can also just try to do our exercises on rings. Anybody that has ever done an exercise on rings knows about the shakes and the mini earthquake that goes on even when we're performing exercises that we would otherwise be extremely familiar with when done on bars. What I love most about rings is that the tension we are forced to create to maintain stability is a stimulus that we don't usually have. If you think that weighted calisthenics is the only way to go when it comes to building muscle, you only have to look to gymnasts on still rings to be proven otherwise. Crowd, with calisthenics, there are so many ways that we can develop ourselves and progress closer to our goals that it would be foolishly dogmatic to stick to just one. But crowd, I want to know what you think. Do you guys think weighted calisthenics is enough? Is there anything that we've gone through today that you look at and you want to try out? Let me know down in the comment section below, and crowd, I'll see you in the next one.